that and running that thing back with pick six.
Well, you know what? I did pick out Ryan Fitzmagic. So how you feel about it?
Hey,
you around 18
I'm not
years.
surprised how long you've been in the league and so many teams. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I picked him off, but I picked off a younger version of Ryan. This older version of Ryan actually is pretty damn good, and he can flat out play. Don't forget the guy got benched in Miami for winning too much. So that tells you a lot about him and where he's at. And he's in the top, hey, believe this or not, he's in the top 5, top 6 in QBR and completions in the last 3 years of his career. He's got better. It's like wine. He's getting better. But I got something that I feel, as much as I know Ryan is going to help us win and he's going to be that guy, you know, sometimes in football, it's all about the story. I feel a Kurt Warner type story happening with Tyler Heineke. I just feel if Ryan Fitzmagic misses just 1 or 2 games, he'll never get his job back again. I feel that Tyler Heineke would get in there and really become Kurt Warner of the Washington football team. Yes, the guy that comes out of nowhere that was bagging groceries that turns into a Hall of Famer. I gotta feel it.
How does that OG title make you feel to know that you had made an imprint into this fan base and things like that?
Oh, that's what it make you feel. Oh, you used to look at the guys like B. Mitch and Doc Walker, you Sonny Jurgensen's, and you be like, man, they played and they was a part of historic teams, and all of a sudden, we didn't have any history. I think we brought a different energy to the city, and just having the luxury of playing with Sean T and playing with Santana, myself, Marcus, Christian. I think the guys, Smoke, those guys that was in that community meant so much. Even the unsung heroes, the Mike Sirrs, the Rock Cartwrights, the Kerry.
Yes, sir.
The list goes on. The people that was just.
Y'all know what time it is, man.
Community. And
y'all know what time it is. Let me go ahead and remove this thing right quick. Boom. Woo. Here we go. I think I've recovered, Dre. I think I'm alive and well, man. You know what I'm saying?
This man was about to die before the thing, man. I got on. This motherfucker was coughing. He was over there bent over. I was like, damn.
I was about to die, bro. And right before this nigga got on the joint, I was like, God damn, bro. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm all right. But welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast, provided to you by 214 Media. I am your host, Jamal. I'm here with Dre right now. AJ should be checking in shortly. Dre, man, how are you feeling today, big dog? How's everything going for you?
It's better today. I mean, Tuesday, we got 2 days to get over that debacle on Sunday. So I'm all right, man. Just, I don't know. With this team, we'll see, man. This whole COVID shit going down. So I don't know what we got ahead of us.
Hey, Jaren asked us if we ready for more pain. Look, man, we're in for a long week. The things are adding up. Wilson, what's going on, Wilson? I hope all is well with you. Yes, COVID is crazy. So let's go ahead and get through this thing now, because Dre talked about it. Wilson talked about it in the chat. Injuries and transactions. Obviously, we want to get Dre's perspective on what happened against Dallas and his thoughts and everything. But clear one thing up. Logan Thomas, I think this was reported today. It was confirmed this morning that he did, in fact, tear his ACL, I believe. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the credit does go to John Kine for that one, reporting that. And then the COVID list. Good God. When I thought things were bad yesterday, with Jonathan Allen being put on the COVID list and a couple others, it was reported while I was at the gym. So literally, Dre, I found this out as I loaded up my computer probably like 20 minutes ago, that Kendall Fuller and Tim Settle they're now on the COVID list too.
They are.
So now we have I think a total of 11 people on the COVID list. For those who are wondering, this is Kime's word, so I'll go through the list. We have Kendall Fuller, who's on there. We also have Tim Settle, who joined it, joining 8 other players, so I guess a total of 10. Washington had previously placed Jonathan Allen on the list on Monday. It also has defensive ends Montez Sweat, James Smith-Williams, and Casey Toohill all on the list, all defensive linemen, 1 cornerback. Fuller is Fuller is unvaccinated, so he will be out against the Philadelphia Eagles. So that is that's frustrating news from a personnel standpoint. Obviously, the issue is more concerned about the player making sure they're straight. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about the team standpoint, that is devastating. But Fuller is out against the Philadelphia Eagles in a ridiculous spot. Washington currently holds the 7th seed, and right behind them is the Philadelphia fucking Eagles. Settle is vaccinated, everybody, so he does have a chance to play if he tests negative twice within a 48-hour span. What else do we have? Let's see. Kyle helped us out here with his article. I appreciate you, John. He mentioned that replacing Fuller would be Danny Johnson and Daryl Roberts, who they activated off the COVID list on Tuesday. The fact that he was on the COVID list too is kind of crazy. It's crazy though, Dre, because and before we get to the thing, like the Browns is in the same boat as us, and so are the Rams. I don't know what I don't know what's going on in the NFL, but this whole entire thing is crazy. I don't know, bro. It's so weird. It's so weird, bro.
And I wanted to say the biggest thing we, as right now as fans, the only thing we can hope for is that a lot of these guys, save for Kendall Fuller, he's not vaccinated, but the vaccinated guys like Jonathan Allen, and I'm assuming, I guess the other guys may be vaccinated, but like you said, if they show up with a 2 negative tests in a 48-hour span, hopefully these guys can come off the list by Friday, because Daryl Roberts kind of actually added promise to that, because I think he just got put on the list on Saturday and he came off on Tuesday. So that was a 3-day span for him. So that's the best case scenario right now for our vaccinated players. But now the concern is, like you said, Kendall Fuller isn't playing, so you have to replace him. And then Montez Sweat, we don't know if he can play this weekend. I mean, he's unvaccinated, so he was on the COVID list last week. I think the earliest being an unvaccinated player is, I think it's 10 days. You have to at least be on the COVID list for 10 days as an unvaccinated player. So maybe he's eligible to come off by maybe this Friday or Saturday. So we got to hope for all we can get right now to get this push going against the Eagles.
Bro, Jarian just brought something to my attention, because I know Odell was on the list. He tested positive before he played positive. I guess that's the more important thing. He didn't test positive before the game. He played positive and was tested before the game, and the results came in today. I don't understand how that type of oversight even happens, to where you're allowing people to play on the field while they're positive. That should have never happened. But that just leaves me concerned, because just think about it. I don't know what the state is with the Arizona Cardinals, but given that he played the Cardinals on Thursday night, I can't imagine. It has to be something where there's an outbreak that we aren't even accounting for right now. I'm not going to exaggerate it, but I just think that for him to play on the field positive, there has to be an outbreak that's being unaccounted for right now in this league. And another thing that Wilson mentioned, the NBA teams are starting to get hit with COVID. Obviously, we know the Bulls, not the Bears, but the Bulls this week, they actually had to forfeit a game or postpone a game because of that. It's weird, man. They did say it ramps up. They told us it ramps up when the winter comes around.
And they also, the league also said before this season, that there will not be any postponed games or rescheduled games this season. So you're going to have to play as is with your COVID situation in the NFL this year.
Fuck. It's crazy, man. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, man. You know why we here. Y'all know why we here. I gave my thoughts. My boy Montel Sunday. I'm on the post-game recap on what was going on. Obviously, as you know, the floor is for Dre and AJ whenever the hell he gets in here. The floor is yours, man. Yeah, fashionably late. But the floor is yours, man. Let us know your takeaways from the game, your thoughts, wherever you want to take it. The floor is yours.
I mean, obviously, it was disappointing. I mean, we were pretty hyped up for this game. And I think I saw you mention it on Twitter, Jamal, that, this is like the second time that Ron Rivera this season has kind of called out fans to come show up for the team. And they just came out and threw up all over themselves. And the bad thing about it watching this game was I didn't necessarily feel like at any point in this game that Dallas was just so much better than us, which, I kind of feared that early in the season that they were. But this team literally just threw up on themselves. I mean, Dallas offensively, I don't think they were impressive all game, which is kind of surprising to me. I mean, at one point, this was the strength of their team. This was the unit that was supposed to scare other teams in the NFL this year. And I mean, for the most part, if you're going to beat Dallas, you have to score at least 30 points. And that turned out to be the case this week, as we would have needed 30 points to beat them. But it wasn't necessarily because of what their offense was doing. It was because our offense was so bad. We were turning the ball over. I mean, Taylor Heineke played, probably his worst game in the NFL this week. I mean, it seemed like at no point he was going to get any kind of momentum going in this game. I mean, he had to pass to Cam Sims that was 4 touchdowns later in the game, but that was late. I mean, the first half, that offense could literally do nothing. I mean, shout out to Dallas. I mean, they have playmakers. I mean, Micah Parsons is a beast. There's no denying that. Randy Gregory's a beast.
Bro.
You know, I mean, they got guys like that, but we were playing right into their hands. I mean, Heineke was turning the ball over. I thought he was a little indecisive. I mean, that offensive line, this was their worst game of the season as a unit. They were getting decimated. And you just don't see us getting the ball to our playmakers as much in this game either. I mean, Antonio Gibson could never get right in this game, and then he had the key fumble. So the offense was just, like I said, they were throwing up all over themselves all game, and they hardly gave us a chance throughout the game to compete. And Dallas offense was giving us a chance. I think Dak Prescott should have thrown 5 interceptions in that game. I mean, I think he ended up with 2. But I mean, we dropped it. Yeah, Fuller dropped 1. Jamin Davis dropped 1. You know what I'm saying? And we came up with 2 interceptions. I mean, Dak doesn't really look comfortable right now in Dallas. They could have kept us in the game, but offensively, I just felt like we didn't come out prepared this week, and that's a shame coming out on rivalry week. Well, with that said, I mean, you still have a lot of football left to be played. I know COVID is a thing right now, and that's kind of disrupting what we are trying to do right now in this playoff push. But there's still a lot of football to be played. And I don't want to get too down on that game, but that was very disappointing.
It was, man. I think one of the things that I was concerned about, and I wasn't the only one in this, so I'm not going to act like it was just me. But I think one of the things that I was concerned about, Dre, is the fact that leading into this game, knowing that the offense had its struggles in the previous couple of weeks. Like you started out strong against the Raiders, and then in the middle of the game and literally outside of the last drive that put you ahead, you struggled. The Seattle Seahawks game, multiple 3rd and shorts you couldn't convert. And you kept Seattle in the game regardless of how inept their offense was. And you run into a team in the Dallas Cowboys who, thankfully, their offense wasn't as good at all. Like, with all of the star power that they got, their offense wasn't good. And your defense, credit to the defense as well, because I'm not going to just say the Dallas offense stunk. The defense did a good job, and Dak Prescott was off or whatever, but the defense capitalized as many times as they could, right, giving the offense extra chances. And this offense, who put up 17 points in back-to-back games, ended up essentially costing the team the game. You hold a Dallas Cowboys offense to 20 points. That is winning football on one side of the ball. These guys, and weirdly so, you know what? That's not even right, because the offensive line is banged up a little bit. But outside of like the center, who we've already been dealing with the injuries, and obviously Sam Cosmi, which is wild that he's actually not even talked about that much right now. But him being out is hurting as well, because Cornelius Lucas he's not holding up anymore. But back to the point, this offense putting up 17 points in back-to-back games has seemingly fizzled from their efficient start out of the bye week. 3 weeks, Tampa, Carolina, and Seattle, at least the first half of Seattle, you looked pretty good. And then you ran into 2 buzzsaws for whatever reason against defenses that really wasn't that good statistically heading into the game. You could have had success, and I think at the end what it boils down to is Dre, what the quarterback looked like. And I mean, obviously it's different against the Cowboys because everybody sucked. The offensive line was getting beat. The pressures was getting sent from each and everywhere. Micah Parsons was all over the field. But there was also opportunities from the quarterback position where you had a chance to make the play or extend a drive, and he failed miserably. And that's kind of where I want to get to next. Just your outlook on, I guess we'll call this the progress report thing. Well, we have 5 weeks left in the season, or is it 5 weeks, Trey? Who we got?
Yes, we was 4 games.
4 games left? Okay.
There's 4 games left. 4 games left.
Okay, so we got 4 games left. We're going to go ahead and do we're going to close the season out with a weekly progress report on Taylor Heineke, given that, look, we're going to talk about him each and every week, everybody. So we might as well just lay out a little 5-10 minute segment for the guy and talk about him, and get it out the way. But I guess that's where we kind of get into with the Cowboys game and the Raiders game as well, Dre. He has regressed, in my opinion, to the pre-bye week Taylor Heineke. He had 3 really good weeks, or two good weeks, really. 2 really good weeks, strong weeks. And he's reverted back to the individual that we saw before the bye week, man. A guy who can't really see the field well, who's given the defense too many opportunities to make plays, and he's not looking at the check down, the easy options to keep drives alive, and holding on to the ball too long as well, and it's essentially hurting this offense, man. And I low-key feel bad for Curtis Samuel, because it was one play, the infamous play where Terry McLaurin got hurt, and your boy Curtis Samuel right there just asking, bro, just give me the ball. I get the first down. I maybe even make a play, get you 20. Just give me the ball. And he's over here looking for Terry McLaurin 40 yards down the field and underthrows him by at least 5 yards. I'm gonna give you the floor on your boy Taylor Heineke, and see where you are with him, at least against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, no. So, when we were having our success during the 4-game winning streak, Taylor Heineke played efficient football. I mean, even if, the Buccaneers game and I thought the Carolina game, he played really good football. Then against Seattle and the Raiders, he played pretty efficient football. I mean, football you can win with if you're playing well in other areas. But this week, like you said, he reverted back to pre-bye week Taylor Heineke. And, I know a lot of it is attributed to the fact that we were playing down a lot in this game, but even early in the game when I think it was the turnover we got early in the game when Landry Collins got the interception against Dallas. Yeah. We were only down by I think it was 3-0 at that time. And then he has the big turnover where he throws the screen pass and it's tipped up for an interception by Randy Gregory. And that completely flipped the momentum back to Dallas side. And I thought, that's one play you make right there. That probably changes the whole outlook on the game right there. But once Dallas got that play, it was like he just never got into any kind of rhythm after that. Like once Randy Gregory did that, then Micah Parsons was in his face all day. But once you see Taylor Heineke in the offense go down, that's when you see him start to try to make plays that makes no sense with his arm talent or lack thereof. And, his mentality, he wants to turn a 10-point or a 17-point deficit, and he thinks he can get all of that back in one play. And he starts just making just the WTF plays, like what the fuck plays you're throwing into 4-man coverages. And, and that's the type of stuff you don't want to see from him. Like you said, you'll see Curtis Samuel running on the sideline. He's open, and he'll just completely overlook him trying to make a pass that he can't make downfield. So, I mean, that's frustrating. And that's one of those things where I guess, as the offensive coordinator at that point, you have to realize, the strength of my team is this running game. But the problem was the running game wasn't able to get off this game. The offensive line this was a really bad game for our offensive line. Like we have been pretty good all season. I don't know if the injuries finally start to catch up to this team or what in this Dallas game, but Dallas pretty much, they bullied the trenches on that side of the football. And we can never get any kind of momentum, whether in the pass game or the run game. And that really hurts a guy like Taylor Heineke, who needs the run game to be successful, because you don't want to put the full game into Taylor Heineke's hands and say, go out there and win me a game, because that's not what was winning us games. What was winning us games was when we were controlling tempo. We dictated what we wanted to do on offense, which was run the football, and Taylor Heineke was able to play a more efficient style game. But when you ask him to do something other than that, then I think that you're doomed on offense.
I agree. I think, and you touched on it slightly, Dre. I think the thing, and I don't even know, I would love to be in the facilities to understand this part that I'm about to bring out. What exactly is his mindset as he's processing the things that he's seeing in the moments of the game that he's like that they're in. I don't necessarily know that you can shake that part out of him. Like the part meaning I have to make this play. I have to do something. And sometimes those moments have worked for Washington. Like the fuck it ball where he threw it to Terry McLaurin against the Falcons and Terry McLaurin won the jump ball in the end zone. You score a touchdown. Another fuck it ball. The game week 1 against the Chargers, he just throws it to Terry McLaurin down the sideline. You think it's gonna get picked, but Terry McLaurin makes a play, saves him. There's a few that's not popping up in my head, but you all get the sentiment. And people in the chat, you talk to me and you tell me the other fuck it moments that Taylor Heineke has had and has been successful. But I think the give and take is you'll have those moments, but I don't know if you can coach this out of him where you want him to be that processor, that game manager, where you're like, look, bro, I understand you have that urge where you want to make that play, but at the same time, if you just sit here and you give what you get in this offense, or you give what's given in the offense, you can still be a successful quarterback. There's a term that I've always been saying, and it goes back to Ryan Fitzpatrick, not even just Taylor Heineke. It goes to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Selectively aggressive. That's always been Fitzpatrick's mantra. Like, he's always been selectively aggressive, especially as he's started to mature as a quarterback, as he's gotten older. And that's kind of where it's like, I'm okay. Aggressive. That shot to Cam Sims, Dre, in my opinion, I don't think it was. Look, it was one-on-one coverage. You gave your guy a chance. But even still, in the grand scheme of things, you knew what he was doing. Like, you knew who he was as a quarterback. He was not going to go to anybody else. Imagine if you look at the all 32 and you see somebody else open, like wide open. You knew he didn't give a fuck about that person who was wide open. He was going to throw it to Cam Sims regardless. Like, that's just the type of quarterback that he is. And sometimes when you get that give and take, you win some and you lose some. But when you lose, what was the situation when you did it? What was the situation when you threw it? And for us, that kind of separates the top tier quarterbacks from a quarterback who's just trying to, make a case for itself, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I'm actually reading the comments, and no, Jerrian's right. I agree with Jerrian's comment about, you could ride a Taylor Heineke or even a Kyle Allen. I mean, out until you draft a guy, but I would definitely still look at drafting a quarterback this offseason. I mean, if you can upgrade, I think Tom Lavero said it best. I was listening to him today. Tom Lavero's a funny guy, but he said Taylor Heineke is like it's kind of like the reliable car that you have that, you can rely on this car to get you to point A to point B. But if you can upgrade this car, if you got the, the luxury to upgrade this car, you can actually do it. You do it, and you keep this car. This is the car. This is going to be my second car on my insurance, but he's going to be cheap. He's going to be the car I probably take to work. But here's my sports vehicle over here that I'm waiting, and I'm grooming this sports vehicle up for my everyday use. But Taylor Heineke can be that reliable person. Him or Kyle Allen. I mean, I don't think they're too far apart, as honestly, as far as like what your ceiling is like as a team with either one of those guys. Like, a lot of people kind of mistake, that because you might actually like, what these guys bring to a team, that you think these guys are your final or long-term answer. And I just don't agree. I don't think Taylor Heineke is your long-term answer. I don't think Kyle Allen would ever be your long-term answer, but these are guys you could probably keep around your organization for years, and they can start when you need them to start, or they can hold the position down until you get a guy that you're confident in that can take your team to the next level.
Yep. Oh, you need me? Oh, okay. I got you for a game. Let's get it. Come on, I got you, coach. Let's go.
Damn, Dre referring to his son as a reliable car.
I mean, he can hold me down, AJ. You know what I'm saying? He's my 2002 Ford Contour until I get this fucking 2019, 2020 Range Rover going. Right? Until I'm ready to drive this car every day.
Hey, man, I've been waiting for this day because Sunday was terrible.
All
And
right, hey, so listen, AJ just checked that, man, and the floor is his, obviously. As we know what he's about to say, and it's warranted. We have no fight. There is no fight. It was a terrible game. But AJ, the floor is yours, big dog. You got everything and anything that you need to say about the game and recap. It is your moment.
yeah, I mean, he's a bum. Like at the end of the day, like he's a bum. Like I mean, you hold on to the ball too long. It's like in the big games, he just like he just alienates everything that got him to the point of even being a quarterback overall, and just even being in the spotlight of being in the NFL. It's just like, bro, you're missing wide open people. You're not taking the easy targets. Like you're not even being. I heard you, Maul. You know, like 5 minutes ago, you were talking about the aggressiveness and stuff. I can't even call it being aggressive. It's just being boneheaded. When you're throwing a ball to a receiver with 5 defenders around it, that is just being straight up boneheaded. It's like you're just throwing the
Oh yeah, that's
ball
not
up and
select.
saying,
That's
yeah,
not
you're
selectively aggressive. That's
yeah,
not. That's way down
you
the
just
line
saying
from
fuck
that.
it.
Hell, you know.
At that point,
Yeah.
you're just saying fuck it, in my opinion, because like it's one thing to play like Brett Favre or some of these more aggressive quarterbacks that we've seen over the years, and give opportunities to your guys to have that 50-50 ball, no matter what size they are. That's why Cam Sims was able to win that possession against Trayvon Diggs. But it's like when you throwing the ball in the triple coverage, 5-man coverage. It's like you don't even give a fuck. Like everything that you learn during the season, the week, you're not even taking out on the field and possessing it. And you're just that you're going against an aggressive defensive line and scheme, and you're holding on to the ball like you have all day. Like you're acting like you have a Hall of Fame line protecting you. Like you don't have that. It's just, man, Sunday was so bad. Like, but it was relieving so that people could shut the fuck up about this Taylor Heineke kid and and realize like, yo, this team really needs a damn quarterback, because I was getting tired of it, and that's why I was explaining to y'all like, what happens with this Cowboys game? Like, if he goes out there and he sits on himself, like, where does that take you? In regards to like how you feel about things going forward, because the way people have been speaking about it has made it seem like Taylor Heineke's been balling out of control against these teams over the last like 4 or 5 weeks. But in actuality, he's been doing the bare minimum and not having turnovers. But once those turnovers start rolling in, or like I said the last show, once that score is not close, how the fuck is he gonna bounce back? And you've seen exactly that. Once it became, I don't even know, it didn't even become 10-0. It became 11-0. What a dumbass coach as well. Mike McCarthy is so stupid. But yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you've seen how hard it was for them to try to get back in the game, and he literally cost them the game, like, from his decision
That was the
making.
worst case scenario for Taylor Heineke and anybody who, because I mean I know we played, but Dre's not. He wasn't literally in a Taylor Heineke boat. He was always a let's see how it goes thing. But for those who truly supported Taylor Heineke and was like, this is our guy, it was the worst case scenario that you can have. To have him go out there and play his worst game against a division rivalry opponent, but also in a moment where this is the biggest game of the season. You literally had your worst game statistically, but also from an eye test standpoint. And I don't really vibe with the people who have said a few things. More importantly, the things that they've said is, put any other quarterback back there, you would have the same result. Well, guess what? There's plenty of other quarterbacks who have taken hits by defenders from quarter 1 to quarter 4, and they'll still find a way to make plays. Those are what you call top tier or upper echelon quarterbacks. At the very least, at the very best, Taylor Heineke was a mediocre or average quarterback. But what he played or what he displayed against the Dallas Cowboys, that was a person who should have been a free agent. Like, that's the type of quarterback that you saw against the Dallas Cowboys, a person who should have been a free agent.
That boy should be working for Amazon Prime.
Yes,
Fuck
that's
being a free
look.
agent.
That's the type of quarterback that you saw on Sunday. So for those who are anticipating a quarterback who uh, rises to the occasion, which he has, I will give him credit. I will not discredit him for the things that he has done this season. But for him to have that moment in one of the big in the biggest, not one of, in the biggest game of the season against the biggest rival, the biggest rival that the Washington football team has from a historical standpoint, because now it's like who the fuck cares about Dallas versus Washington? That was not what you wanted to see from Taylor Heineke, especially if you were one who thought that he was QB1 of the future and wanted to see him for years to come. That ain't it.
Hey, quick question. Do any of you guys know this account on Twitter? What is his name? Tim Indy Skins Fan?
I think I've seen him before on there.
Yeah, I'm thinking he might be Taylor Heineke's father as well. I don't know how many dads he got, but this man is on Heineke's dick. Like he's always like going to bat for him. Like it was one tweet that I seen while I was in Mexico. He was like, "Those who are bashing Heineke and calling for him to be benched are the same people that bash Hopkins. The grass isn't always greener. Stay with the guy until there's an actual upgrade. There are / were both contempt NFL starters." I'm like, bro, he always had. I don't even know how he gets on my feed because I don't follow him. But like, he's always like going to bat for Taylor Heineke. I'm like, bro, where are these fans coming from? It's like there's people that are rooting so hard for Taylor Heineke, but at the same time, there's also people bashing Chase Young, trying to compare him to Michael Parsons and shit like that. It's so confusing with this fan base. It's like, bro, y'all really don't understand football. Like Michael Parsons and Chase Young are asked to do two different things, like two different systems, and it worked in Dallas' favor. Like they didn't draft that man to be a pass rusher; they drafted him to be an all-ball linebacker. You know, DeMarcus Lawrence gets hurt, and he ends up playing DN.
I think the inherent. Oh, go ahead. You got it, Dre. You got it.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, with Chase Young, I hate that he got injured midway through the season. I mean, obviously he wasn't having the season that we expected him to kind of have in his sophomore year, but I still see a lot of potential in Chase Young. I mean, but obviously you drafted him number 2. You want to see a lot more production. You want to see the Micah Parsons production. But I do also think that a lot of people kind of forgot that last year Chase Young was having that kind of impact that Micah Parsons was having. He wasn't Defensive Rookie of the Year for nothing last year. I mean, I still remember that San Francisco game where he single-handedly won the San Francisco game. He did in that San Francisco game where people pretty much rave about what Parsons does today. I mean, he had a couple of games kind of like that where he impacted the game in a major way. It may not have showed up on the stat sheet, but it was plays like what he made on Joe Burrow last year when he stopped him at the goal line. There was the Pittsburgh game where he jumps over the offensive line on the goal line to stop a play that would have ended up at a touchdown. So he was making game-changing plays last year that I think a lot of people kind of forgot because he didn't take that leap this year. And I don't know what happened this year that, kind of stalled him, but it didn't take away from what I thought of Chase as a player. So that's a good point that AJ brought up, but as far as Taylor Heineke goes, I mean, I do think people have to be rational about him. Like I said, I like to think of myself as kind of like a rational fan when it comes to Taylor Heineke. Like I don't see Taylor Heineke as any kind of long-term answer whatsoever at the quarterback position. I look at him like I look at a Colt McCoy. I mean, you see what Colt McCoy he did with us when he came in for his little games where he would come in. He kind of held down the fort. You trusted Colt to hold down the fort. You trusted that Colt wouldn't just completely blow a game, or if he did, it was just a backup doing what a backup does in a sense, And you see what he did with Arizona this year when Kyler Murray went down. I think Colt McCoy went 2-1 in those games. Arizona didn't. They only lost one game. And they won 2 games when Colt McCoy had to be the starter. That's the type of guy I look at as Taylor Heineke. I look at him as a guy that you can keep around your franchise. You can have him as a backup, and when he needs to start games, you feel like you're not completely out of a game when he has to start a game. I mean, but like we all said, we have to upgrade the position. I don't think that's ever changed for any of the realistic fans who follow Washington football.
But can this team even keep him as a backup going forward if you do upgrade the position?
Hell
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why.
Because I feel like in this area, let's say let's.
Oh, you know what? I know where AJ going. Yep, go ahead. I know.
I speak hypothetically. this team goes and gets Deshaun Watson, can you really keep Taylor Heineke as your backup quarterback? Because like now if Deshaun has a bad game, then you cause the chaos again of this. Let's say even the only way I think you maybe get away from that type of chaotic situation is if it's like an Aaron Rodgers or perhaps maybe even a Russell Wilson. But if it's any guy outside of that, can you really keep Taylor Heineke as your number two?
Well, so hold on. To AJ's point about Deshaun Watson, first off, no. If you were to get a Deshaun Watson legal issues aside, no one. I mean, no one that's worth listening to is going to ever call for Taylor Heineke over Deshaun Watson over one
First off,
Deshaun
I will
Watson
ship
bad
that
game.
motherfucker Heineke to
Like,
Texas. Like, take him, have him, and you can worry about building up your
Right.
quarterback spot. Like,
Right.
I
use
mean,
him and worry about the rest later.
but see, that's how we think. But this fan base doesn't really think that way. Like the majority of the fan base doesn't think that way. Like a lot of people in the NFL for real, like fan wise, don't really view Deshaun Watson as being that top tier quarterback as we see him to be. Like some people are on the fence about it, but like those that really know football know like that man is the real deal. So I'm just curious, like, can you really even keep Taylor Heineke as a number two if you were to go if you went and had to even draft a quarterback? Could you keep him? Could you keep him if you went and got a
So,
veteran guy like the Aaron Rodgers, the Derek Carrs, the Russell Wilsons, the Deshaun Watsons, and so on?
so here was my concern about that because AJ brought it up now, and I've always thought about that. I've always thought about that, like as these weeks accrued for Taylor Heineke. I am in a space where, and I think this points to what Dre was talking about too as well when he gave his breakdown of the game and Taylor. You are moving forward or moving away from Taylor when you have a clear upgrade, when there is no questions or no concerns about who the person is that you're moving in or to bring in that quarterback. Like if that person is a clear upgrade from Taylor, it is what it is. You know better. That's that. However, to AJ's point, the thing that kind of always bothered me is that, and you briefly touched on it, AJ, which I mean, it wasn't my point. It was more so about the from a fan's perspective, how people view the term quote unquote franchise quarterback and how they view it and how they approach it and how they process what it takes to find that franchise quarterback. That's kind of where I was going. But Taylor is never, or excuse me, the quarterback that you bring in, whether it's the rookie or whether it's that Mitchell Trubisky, according to what that rumor was a few weeks back, like if you don't bring in that guy, Taylor will always be in the ear or in the lips of everybody who is a part of this fan base or who is a part of the media, because they're going to try and figure out why the hell did you choose this guy and you're going to put him forward over Taylor Heineke when Taylor Heineke could have been getting these reps, could have been getting the experience, could have continued developing all these things behind this same offense as Scott Turner and things like that versus you choosing to go this route. I don't agree with it. I want Taylor Heineke right now. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't think they would be willing to give anybody else a shot if it's not a clear upgrade. And I think those clear upgrades do include Deshaun Watson. But obviously, if it's not Deshaun, it'd have to be Aaron Rodgers. It'd have to be Russell Wilson. Or it'd have to be miraculously the number one overall projected quarterback in the NFL draft. And obviously, I don't think we're going to be able to obtain the number one overall projected quarterback in the NFL draft. So it's always been that way for me. And unfortunately, we're going to hear it for at least another year, AJ, Andre. We're going to hear it. We're going to hear the rumors because Taylor's going to be here for another year. And whoever that quarterback is that they try to go for, if he's not that upper echelon QB1 elite tier status off rips, it's going to be a problem.
And that's something actually, so with the Taylor Heineke thing being, my opinion of him being a guy that can be a bridge option, it actually changed my opinion on this NFL draft in a sense. Whereas some guys like like a Malik Willis, who is kind of high up on a lot of people's draft boards. I was completely against the idea of drafting a Malik Willis before, all of this went down, where, my opinion of Taylor was kind of solidified. And the reason I was kind of against that was because I felt like a Malik Willis guy or any rookie quarterback that you would draft, that you would kind of be expected to have this guy start day one, and he has to be the man day one. And I believe that a guy like Malik Willis is not going to come out and be the man week one. And that's the type of guy that your fan base is going to turn against for not being the man week one. Now, I'm not so much as opposed to drafting a Malik Willis with Taylor Heineke as a bridge option, because I'm feeling like a Malik Willis can now actually grow into the position and kind of develop into your franchise type of quarterback. If you feel like you like that guy enough that you can develop this guy and give him the resources needed to develop. So, but this whole NFL draft as a whole from the quarterback position, it's not the bona fide, Trevor Lawrence's. Even though Trevor Lawrence is struggling this year, but he was looked at as a can't miss prospect, Andrew Luck was, considered a can't miss prospect. Those type of guys. But this quarterback draft has kind of been viewed as a draft that doesn't have that can't miss prospect, and you actually don't know if there is a upper echelon prospect in the draft at the quarterback position, which actually kind of favors out to what Washington is kind of their trajectory is the record wise, because you don't need to tank in a sense. You don't need to be top 5 to go up and get some, quarterback in this draft. You can actually probably be wherever Washington is going to end up falling record wise. And if you like any of the top 4 to 5 prospects in this draft, you're going to probably get them whereas you don't have to give up a full draft, or, you don't have to give up a king's ransom to go up and get a guy. I think talent wise, 1 through 5, or as far as like projection wise, none of those guys in this draft are like significantly higher than the others. And I think we are in a position right now with a Kyle Allen and a Taylor Heineke where you can take one of these guys and you can let them grow into the NFL. You don't have to throw them out to the wolves, to this fan base who can be pretty cruel to quarterbacks.
Merle is hilarious. Hey Merle, I don't know you personally, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking at Merle's comments.
Every single time he's in the chat, bro, I get the dying laughing, bro. He said, "Fuck it, cut that man Taylor Heineke. We get him out of here."
And he said Malik Willis gonna get you fired.
Get you fired, bro. Oh my god, bro. Hey Merle, keep coming back.
Yeah,
keep coming back, bro. Hey, so. This has been a great conversation, man. Obviously we do have to focus on Philly, but we can say that for Thursday. We know who we got coming in on Thursday. Fingers crossed. I'll double back with them tomorrow. Both of them, make sure we're all set. But we'll focus on Philly when we get there. But let's close it out with a quarter of the week. Talk some real shit right quick. I'm gonna keep this thing going. So, Osho. If y'all ever heard of Osho, good for you, because I barely know him. He's an author. But shout out to him. His quote is as follows, and this is the quote of the week as we close out this episode of Trap Dot Podcast. He says, "Focus your energy on the positive moments, because wherever you focus your energy, you feed. Focusing energy is a tremendous nourishment to the object you focus upon." Fellas, we get the concept now, so I'm going to hand it to you all. First, your thoughts, anything that comes to mind when you hear something like that. I'll say it one more time as well. And it goes as follows. Focus your energy on the positive moments, because wherever you focus your energy, you feed. Focusing energy is a tremendous nourishment to the object you focus upon. Hand the floor to whoever wants to take this first.
I'll actually take this one first, because this is actually something I've been talking to a lot with my girlfriend. Me and my girlfriend has been talking a lot lately about the positive energy that we reflect. Like we want to talk about the positive things in life, or we want to actually project the positive things in life, or the positive encounters that we have in life, because those are the things that kind of manifest itself. When you kind of focus on the negative, you start breeding the toxicity, and you start breeding those negative moments in life. And that's the type of stuff you're going to actually encounter more, or you're going to focus more on. So definitely focus more on the positive energy in life. And that can go with anywhere. It can go with sports. It can go with life, relationships, whatever. When you focus on the positive energy in life, you can be successful in anything you do. when you, because not only are you focusing on that, you're kind of manifesting it as well, and all of that ties in together.
AJ, you
Yeah,
got
no,
thoughts?
I agree. I agree exactly with Dre, man. You got to be careful of the words that you speak into your life. Um, protect your energy at all costs. I mean, if you're not mindful of the words that you put out there and what you put in your atmosphere and your life, like all that shit is gonna come back to you, man. You gotta be cautious. I was talking to my girlfriend about the same thing. Like, hey, babe, you put too much negative thought into shit. Like you gotta be careful what you say because at the end of the day, this is real life. Like your words definitely will manifest itself, whether it be positive or negative.
Obviously, I agree with you all too. I think if there's one thing I can add, it's just if if you're feeling stressed and you're feeling in a position where you have to talk or you have to speak on something that's bothering you, that's upsetting you, um, take that time out. And the reason why I'm gonna point to social media is because it's the biggest thing in the world for people our age and people who are involved with technology like that. I would take that time out to breathe and think to yourself like, is what I'm going through anything worth putting out there to anybody else? Like, do I need to tell people how toxic or how stressed or how I feel about somebody in a negative manner? Like, is that worth it? Is that energy that I exert for this one individual or this one situation worth it? And if you determine that it isn't, 10 times out of 10, you made the right decision. But if you found out that it was, I mean, God bless. But I would tell you, I would tell you, stay away from all of these situations that drags you down, that makes you feel like this isn't, or that this is something worth concerning yourself over. Because at the end of the day, you will find out that there are more things positive in your life that should be worth investing into versus the people or the persons or the entities that are saying to you that you are an issue, you are somebody that I don't respect, or you are something that necessarily isn't positive for whatever thing that you have going on. I wish some people understood that in our lives, and I'm sure you all feel the same way. I wish people understood that those moments where you feel like you have to say something or that you have to do something. I wish people understood that that's just not true. You don't have to do anything. Feed into the people that believe in you. Feed into the people that know who you are, because that is the energy that's worth reciprocating. That is the energy that people would love to gravitate towards. Believe it or not, you do not have to build yourself off of anything negative or stuff like that. So we lost AJ. I'm sure his connection just dropped, and that's cool.
And but Jamal, before we go on, close out the show, I
Yep.
did want to add to that last part that has also helped my Twitter experience. This whole conversation about positive and negative. I used to feel like back in the day, I had to respond to every interaction on Twitter, whether it be positive or negative, especially the negative. I loved responding to the negative, but I realized it was a waste of energy, and I don't have to respond to every negative little tweet that I see. You don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to exert that energy into your life, because when you respond to the negative stuff, you have to be kind of negative in a sense with that person. You're inviting the negative energy in your life. So my Twitter experience has been much better since I realized I don't have to respond to every interaction, especially the negative ones.
Whew. Absolutely, man. Hey, finesse is hilarious. He just hopped in the chat talking about Merle Garrett is Mr. Negative. But listen, y'all. It was a good show. Appreciate everybody who tuned in. Appreciate the chat, man. As always, it is a pleasure. For schedule wise, I'm back tomorrow with the R32 side. We got some guys to come in and talk some Patriots and some Rams with us. We get the details on that guy, Mac Jones and how serious he is, or how legit he is, or is this something that Bill Belichick concoctioned, whatever the word is, and made him a product of his system. And we'll be back on Thursday in terms of the Washington football side, AJ and Dre, with some special guests that will be announced shortly once we do get the confirmations. And I think we'll be all set. So with that being said, enjoy y'all evening. Appreciate everybody for watching. And y'all be safe, all that good stuff. Peace.
Peace.
Yes, sir.
How about in that? Boom, there we go.